In term 3, you will be studying 3 modules. All of them are about motor control, mainly the 3-phase motor control. In these videos, I'll be scanning the PowerPoint presentations to explain the ideas, and I'll be drawing the circuits and explaining every circuit. Now, starting by module number 8, which is the first module in term 3. First, here we are talking about what are the factors you have to consider. What are the factors you have to consider when you are designing a motor controller, The factors are 5. First of all, you have to ask yourself, is the motor I'm controlling an AC motor or a DC motor? If it's an AC motor, you have to ask yourself, is it a single phase or a 3-phase motor? Then the second factor you have to think of is what type of motor I'm using, what size of motor I'm using. So the motor itself, you have to consider your motor when you're designing a controller. Then you have to ask yourself about the controller. What do you want to control? You want to control starting, stopping? Do you want to control the speed? Do you need any jogging, any reversing? Then ask yourself about the environment that your motor will be in. Is it in a humid environment? Is it in hot? Is it underwater? So considering the environment is important when you are designing a motor controller. Finally, you have to consider any international standard adopted in the world of motor control. So following electrical codes and standards is important when you are designing a motor controller. An example of a worldwide standard is the National Electrical Code, which is strictly followed in the UAE, the NEC. Now, types of control. We'll be talking about manual control and automatic control. Manual means it needs a human to turn on and off the motor, while the automatic, it will use switches. It will use sensors. Types of manual control, types of switches. Here in the book, in the textbook, they mentioned 2 types. They mentioned the toggle switch and the CAM switch. This one is the toggle. Toggle means it has either one status, on or off. It's very similar to a knife switch, so toggle switch. Where to use it? It's recommended in small motors, like for example in fans. It controls only turning on and off. Now, if you want to control different speeds levels of your motor, if you want to reverse your motor, then you will need this CAM switch. Where, for example, you can see it. You can see it in the grinder. You know the meat grinder? فرامة اللحم. There, sometimes you need to reverse the direction. Some type of meat or some material can get stuck in the grinder. And here you need to reverse the direction. I don't know whether it happened with one of you. You need to reverse it. So if you want to reverse, then you need the CAM switch. Also, you can control the speed by rotating a knob. They used to use it in the blenders. الخلاط, the mixer in the kitchen, it has different speeds. Now they're using push buttons, but before they used to use this CAM switch, also in the fans, to control different speeds. So CAM switch and toggle switch are for manual control. Now for automatic control, you need to use sensors. Examples of sensors, float switch. Float switch, from the name of it, float, means you can, for example, stop a water pump when a tank is full. Pressure switch, you know the tire, the car tires, when you go to ADNOC to inflate your tire, you put on the machine, you put certain pressure your car is used to, then you start the machine to stop on certain pressure. Which switch will help you to stop the air pump? It's the pressure switch. Thermostat, you all know it from the word thermo, means it will stop or start a motor according to the temperature, like those we have in the air conditioning systems. Finally, the most important automatic switch is the limit switch. We will have examples and we will study a circuit and we'll be drawing the limit switch. Limit switch means you will start or stop a motor when you are reaching a certain limit. For example, if you see the barrier gates, you know the barrier gates? Those on the entrance of different parking, there is a barrier gate. It's usually highlighted like that in red. The barrier gate will be opening, going up. Like we can't fix the number of rotations. I will tell you why. Now it will be rotating until here it hits up a limit switch. Here I make my motor stop after it rotates fully. Now if it's going back, and while it's in the middle, while going back, in the middle it needed to stop because a car is coming. So now opening back, it will open half of the distance. So you can't take the number of motor rotations fixed. It has to be flexible. So how to stop and start the motor? By hitting a limit switch. This is an example of limit switch. Here how we draw a normally open limit switch. We will need it. We will be drawing it in a circuit. It's like that, normally open, and the normally closed one is like that. It has to be closed here. My stylus is not a very good one. So let's conclude. We talked about 5 factors you have to consider when you design a motor controller. Then we talked about 2 types of manual switches, the toggle and the cam. These both are manual. A human should turn them on and off. Then we talked about some types of automatic switches. We talked about float switch, pressure, thermostat, and limit switch. That's it for today. In the next videos, I'll be recording the explanation of more slides and more circuits.